Now we're
Oh,
streaming on the
great.
internet.
I'm pulling it
We're
up, making
gonna
sure we're
we're gonna talk about some video games that were shown off today
sweet sense.
into the E3. I retweeted it. I'm gonna crack this bubbly.
Hell yeah. Oh,
Heyo.
there's my boy, my boy Greg Miller.
He's here. We're here on the stage of E3 for day one.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our day one
Hello.
post show. It's me, Alex. We got Quinn and Mike and Scott here as well. Hello, everybody. Hey, gents.
Howdy.
Hello. Good evening.
How's your E3s treating you, boys?
I sat at my computer a lot and wrote 7 pages of notes for video game conferences because I'm a freak.
I'm living vicariously through Mike's notes because I currently don't have the time nor the bandwidth to watch
28
let
different
me
press
check.
conferences.
The Koch Media show. Oh, I'm sorry, Koch Gaming
Koch.
Prime Time.
That's right.
I think
Koch Media.
it's Coke.
No, it's Koch.
Is it associated with the Koch brothers?
That's how they said
That's how
it
they
on.
say it.
That said it on the stream that no one should watch. I should just say, I shouldn't have watched it. Any other idiot who live reacted to it shouldn't have watched it. Not just
except for Roger McCorney. I'm glad he was there for it. Have you been able? Which ones have you caught, Scott? You're the one I haven't touched base with.
I pretty much watched. I caught the tail end of Gorilla today. I watched all of Ubisoft. I caught second half or the last quarter of Devolver, and the train wreck non-conference that was Gearbox.
Woof, yeah, that's the one
And I
got.
watched that one on Thursday. Summer Games Fest.
The Game
the
Fest.
Keighley
So
Fest.
we were there for that. Yeah.
we live reacted
Keighley
to that.
Christmas.
Scott was just
Keighley
off
Miss.
screen for that. We were trying to get him in toward the end, but we had a technical hiccup.
We were
So here we are. We got a lot here.
I have a lot here. I basically just everything that happened since the game fest, Keighley's Game Fest on Thursday. I basically just watched in some regards, and just wrote it all down just for my own brain because because it's so much stuff that everyone would probably forget it, and I still forgot some of it even though I watched all of it. Even writing all of it down here, I have literal 7 pages worth of stuff here. We're not going to cover every single thing tonight, but I definitely think some of it's still worth highlighting for sure. And I think specifically I can start off here with the two Friday shows.
Sure.
Well, there were technically 3 Friday shows, but we don't want to talk again. We don't want to talk about Koch. We don't need to. We don't need to talk about.
Nobody needs to think about Koch Media.
The one to shout out the most actually here at the top is the Tribeca Games Spotlight. That was kind of like the first one on Friday, and it was a different it was not I liked it a lot because it was not like the typical E3 show so to speak, in the sense that Tribeca Film Festival, it's the same company, the people who do the big film festival every year highlighting a bunch of cool indie movies. They essentially did the same concept but for video games and a digital showcase. And there's just here's 6 or 7 games or so that we think are really cool and are going to be actually pushing this media forward to an extent. And we're gonna highlight them through Tribeca. And it was just it was a really well done thing all through and through, because it's they had they didn't really have a central host. They just had hey, here's a person he's they were actual celebrities, or games media person Khalif Adams was presented a bunch of the games. There was Norman Reedus was there for one of the games. Melissa Joan Hart.
Did he have a fetus?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Melissa Joan Hart was
Damn.
also there for some reason for one of the games. And they basically just came on and gave a boiler pitch for the game, and then just cut to almost a full on documentary style cut piece of the devs just talking about the game they're making, and interstitial pieces of them talking about it, and all of them were really well done, professional and look nice. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah.
I'm curious. You mentioned Melissa Joan Hart. So did she explain it all?
She explained a lot about the last game, which was called the Big Con. So she explained a lot about that. I will say so. You
She
could
explained
technically
all
say
of the big con.
you could technically say
all the con.
she explained she gave us the intro to the Big Con so that then the developers could tell us all about the Big Con. So she introduced it all. There you go. There
I'll
you go.
take it. I'll allow it.
There you go.
James McAvoy explained some stuff.
Yeah, James McAvoy was also there for like 12 minutes because he's actually like in that game.
Yeah.
Like James McAvoy and Willem Dafoe and Daisy Ridley, like we're all like in that.
Wait,
like,
Willem Dafoe?
Yes.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe's the bad guy.
Willem Dafoe's the bad guy in 12 minutes, by the way.
Right?
Yeah, that game's buck wild.
Why is that game real?
Yeah, it's buck wild, and like they had and then like I said, like in that showcase, there's like a whole sequence of like them just talking to those 3 actors and like their roles in the game, and talking to like the single developer who's been working on that game for like fucking like 10 years or something crazy like that. And yeah, like all of them, the whole shebang of that film festival thing was just super cool.
Yeah, it had a lot of Nintendo Direct vibes to it.
Yeah, to an extent, for sure. I just think it was really well made and like smartly made for like that, because it didn't feel like a more general what you expect from an E3 press conference in terms of like, here's like a world premiere, flashy graphics on the screen, and then it's just like it's just some CG trailer, which like, hey, I can be here for that stuff totally a lot of times, but like this was like its own little thing. Like this could have just been like some video that just dropped anytime, and I would have watched this and been like, oh, that was really cool, like just seeing all those games.
Yeah. And
also I was like already really stoked for a lot of the games shown here, like Sable. I'm so stoked for Kena Bridge of Spirits. Kena, that was there, and like talk to the creators of that. Harold Halibut is a game that I've been really looking forward to. That's just like this weird. It's like completely. So it's like a stop motion. They made like stop motion animation, and then they like basically like captured it, and then they made it like 3D models, and then so it's like stop motion like in 3D like together. And it's like they showed like that whole process of like making the dolls and the talking to like the dudes who are working on it, and it's like, God, that game's so cool, and it's like
that was a really cool presentation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there was another of that same style stop motion game at Day of the Devs too.
Yeah,
yes,
I almost said yesterday on Thursday, I think.
That was the one where they had like all the camera stuff, right? And I think it's really cool to see that kind of like that style of animations like make its way into games. And I think Harold Halibut's been in dev for like a fucking time. But no, to your point, like I personally like hey, we're just gonna show some games and talk to the people, because then you get so much flavor of what the actual game is about instead of here are just sizzle reels. I want to see the people. That's why
I want to see their emotions. I want to see what they're all about.
That's why I kind of drew the Nintendo Direct comparison, because like that reminds me of like Nindie Directs, especially the most recent one, where they just did a great job of like actually sitting down with a wide array of culture of people to like say like, hey, this is the vibe I'm going for. Day of the Devs from Thursday also had this same. It was very similar, I would say, and they succeeded in how they showed all those games. It was way more intimate, way more informative, I thought.
Yeah, for sure. I just definitely like those more developer focused presentations of them, and like kind of like celebrating the whole game creation process for each of their little showcases in the Tribeca Festival. Yeah, that was probably like my favorite. That's probably still like one of my favorite things out of E3 in some regards. Of what they showed, it was really cool. I think that's mostly what was there. The only thing that I was bummed about was I didn't realize they were also doing like parsec demos via them, and you could have went on the site and like signed up for demos for a bunch of these games, but they were like appointment based, and like they were gone weeks and weeks ago. But it was like a whole week worth of like you can like go do like a parsec demo for Kena or Sable or any of these games. And I was just like, by the time I saw it, I was like, dang it, because I went to the website to like look to the stream. I would have definitely signed up for some of those, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Complete opposite of that, I'll quickly talk about freaking Koch Media.
Tell me.
God, that was probably
Mike,
one of the worst things.
I'm gonna give you 90 seconds on the clock.
It was one of the worst things. That's probably like one of the worst presentations I've ever seen in like an E3 thing. Period. Like a lot of the old stuff you can remember, like the weird Wii guy, motion controlled drummer man, or like what's the one Ubisoft
Giant enemy crab,
or like the weird Ubisoft dude from
the laser tag, Mr. Coffee,
Mr.
The
Coffee.
kids with sprinkles or whatever from the Connect demo.
Oh
yes.
Connectimals.
Yes, like that stuff was like memey and fun, where this was like the blandest thing of like. It opened up with the same exact sizzle reel that for Prime Matter that was in the Game Fest. It was the same exact sizzle reel that was in there, nothing new. Then it just cut to like a lady who was clearly just like got all of this probably pushed on her to do. So she's just like interviewed. She's like in a pair of headsets, just like, here we go. We're gonna talk to all of these people about, and then it's just like it was probably like a solid 45 minutes of this of like her talking to like one of the developers on one of these games. They're just like yeah, we're making a game it's gonna be like here's us just talking about it, showing nothing else. It's just like literally watching like a Zoom call interview back and forth for like 45 minutes between like multiple games, and then by the time we finally get to 45 minutes, we finally see like the first proper gameplay from one of these games, and it was King's Bounty 2. And it's just like, what? No one's like here for this. But then it just continues like that same thing for it was almost a 2-hour presentation, like it was all that. It was a miserable thing.
You think they could have shown? I don't know.
Be able to handle that.
Yeah. It was just.
You think? They own Deep Silver. Why not show like, hey, this is the Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition that's coming out soon?
And maybe they talked about it for 10 minutes and never showed any of it. That's kind of the move.
Yep, they didn't really show like any of that stuff. It was a bad show. After that was, let me look real quick, the IGN Expo. Like there was kind of like their kickoff because they're also doing like a summer game thing. That was pretty decent. It was, once again, it was a lot of indie stuff, but also like updates to games. Like I'll just briefly go through some of these. Like they did, like the first thing they showed was like a CG trailer for like a Immortal Shell DLC, like in the next gen version. Like it just showed like a Immortal Shell looking ass dude,
great,
murdering dudes, and then they said it was a DLC for that game, but it'd also be like a next gen version of that game. They showed some Creed game that looked like Fortnite, but it was like boxing dudes, like Creed, like as in Rocky, like fighting dudes, like boxing. And
they
stuff.
announced the Creed game.
They made a VR game for that.
Yeah, this is like a different thing where it's like
great.
It's not even. It's like it's basically like you can play as like characters from Rocky, then they box each other. It's like you can be young Creed or actual like Apollo Creed, or you can be Rocky or. Was it Ivan Drago? Like they showed all those characters just boxing in a ring, and they look like Fortnite characters, and you're just like, okay,
great.
That was.
There was a Creed PSVR game. This is such a weird.
There was, yeah.
But it's still a thing, I guess.
I remember that came out, and I was like, no one played that.
Yeah, I don't.
People like that movie though, or those movies.
Sure, yeah. So I mean, they're probably just
like the first one. They don't like the second movie.
Yeah, they don't like the second. I guess they're trying to make money off of that. I guess.
Yeah. I haven't seen either of those, so I don't really have the reference point. After that, there was Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, which is like an updated version of the game. And they said I'm not familiar with this game. I know it has like a weird kind of backstory, but it's like. It's like a dating sim, but
I'm in the same boat as you.
It is a visual novel that gets extremely dark and into some very dark topics.
Yeah.
Despite the appearance of the Tsugoi anime girls' deaths.
Got it.
I finished Doki Doki Literature Club, so if anyone has any questions, please.
Cool. Which girl did you kiss?
All of them and none of them.
Oh, great.
is how that game goes.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah,
what was dark like? No, we should. This game's old. We shouldn't press on this.
We shouldn't ruin it, like, for folks that want to see it. But also, you would like it, Quinn. Don't worry about it. Do not play this game. What was like the vibe of the stuff that they're adding? New stories.
It was one of those things where like it just kind of showed like a general thing, and then just had like a bunch of subtitles of like new side stories, updated HD visuals, or like redone HD art. I guess it was like that, and then they like it was like stuff like that, and then they like ended it with like a card that showed like physical versions of the game, and like had like little standee kind of figures that like I guess you could like buy some.
Yeah, there's like a little special collector's edition.
Yeah, like I think it's just like a general special physical edition for people who were into that.
Yeah, so, Tony Horvath is stoked. I told him about this, and he was very into it.
He's like dope, and I think it's later this summer. I think it's like July or August.
Yeah, it might be June actually. I think it might be like end of June. It's
okay,
very
nice.
soon.
Cool. After that was what Quinn joined. We got Ali World, another trailer that showed like
that showed. How's it look?
It looks, that trailer actually was pretty cool because it was like it wasn't just like skating. It was like showing like here's like a little city in the in like the world, and it was like showed this weird buff seagull man like hanging out at a beach, and then like like the music track in the trailer in particular is actually really good. I really like that track in there. It's really funky.
I think this trailer, this one right here, should have been the one they led with, to kind of like not led with, like this is the trailer they should have revealed Ali World with, because it adds so much to the world and it makes you more interested. That I think that when they do the gameplay one should have happened more like here, where people already know about it. But that's just like my brain in marketing thinking about this. Yeah. But no, I'm very excited about this game. It looks great. I think the art style looks great. Ali 2 and 1 have maybe like super great licensed like independent soundtracks.
I was thinking like you get another Ali soundtrack out of this, right?
Yeah.
And like, as someone who frequently listens to the Ali 2 soundtrack, I'm super stoked for this. I know that myself and Nicholas Verge like willed this fucking game into existence, more or less.
Nice.
So very excited about it.
Yeah, it looked neat even for me. It was like not immediately. Probably ultimately won't pick up that game, but it's still like that was like a cool trailer showing that game off in like a different vibe. Like just like here's just a single like focus on like kind of like a single space in this game, and it's kind of in its vibe and feel, which is cool. After that, there was there's like I looked this up afterwards because it was like a confusing trailer, but it was World War Z Aftermath is what it's called, and it's like a big expansion to that World War Z game that came out like I think like a year or two ago. And it's like adding like 3 or 4 new maps. It's like a pretty substantial like update when I was like looking into it. But the trailer really like didn't show it off. It was just kind of like dudes, people fighting zombies in that zombie co-op game, and it's like you're just like okay. But then you look at
that was the first trailer of that game too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was just like you just kind of just see zombie stuff, and you're just like sure, whatever. And then you look it up, and it's like we're basically making like a second game inside this game. We're making a bunch of shit. Please play it. Kind of sounded to it that. After that was like a really weird ass creepy game called Bramble the Mountain King, which looked like one of those weird Cinderella. Like remember those old like I literally wrote it down.
The Alice in Wonderland.
The weird creepy Alice in Wonderland games.
Yeah,
it looked
Madness
like that.
Returns. Yeah.
Yes, it looked like that, but like with like more fantasy. Like you're like a young boy. And there's like it's like a weird interstitial like trailer of like him like stabbing something and like blood splattering over his face, cutting to like him just like walking around this like cute forest, back to him stabbing something, and then like oh look here's like cool fantasy creatures stabbing, and it's just like it was weird. Skatebird was after that. Finally we saw that again, and it got dated.
Hell yeah! And this game it got a release date.
Yeah, and it got dated
August 12th, baby. Game of the year. 2021 comes out.
A lot of Game of the Year is coming out.
Yeah, apparently.
We do.
There's a lot of stuff we haven't even gotten to.
No, Skatebird's going to be great. I am very excited about it. I played it once at the mini booth for like 30 minutes, and I just loved it. It's so wonderful. I think it's like 2 people making it. They're really jolly. You get to
What's more exciting, Skatebird or Ollie Ollie World?
Honestly, Skatebird, because it's more just like, hey, it's dumb fun versus Ollie Ollie is like, cool, I just got to like zone in.
Got it.
And think about everything.
Yeah,
it's all about like
all the moves you make, and
I'm thinking about my fingers instead of what can the bird do?
Yeah, instead of just trying to be silly.
Yeah,
sure.
so this bird's doing fun things. It's on a skateboard. It's wacky. Yeah, totally.
It's got a Thrasher shirt. Yeah.
Okay, I'll skip a couple of these other little things because I don't even remember. Yeah, it's like an unpacking game, which seems very comfy. Like, there's that. I'll jump down to this one here. They showed like a cool like in-depth thing for Tunic actually in this thing. It was like an IGN like exclusive kind of like look at it, and it was like talking about I guess the demo that's going to be on Xbox like I guess tomorrow or sometime this week.
Yeah.
And talking about like there's like cool secrets to find in it, and like they were talking about like the game's like it's like one dude working on it. He's saying it's taking so long because it's like a much more expansive game than people like realize. I think is what they were kind of going for, because they were like, you're not gonna like beat this game in one day, kind of stuff. Like they were trying to talk about it like as like
it's cool,
a bigger game and a harder game than some people might realize. But it was a cool little video. It was over on the IGN and during their expo. Remember Splitgate, that weird PvP Portal game that came out? Apparently, they showed that.
I saw a trailer for this on Twitter that I'd not seen it before, but it looks buck wild. It looks like what's the one weird like jetpacky game, first person shooter game that no one plays anymore? Not Trials. I keep thinking of Trials, but it's some other one word thing on. It's a PC game. Tribes. Very close.
Tribes. Yeah, right.
Very close to Trials.
You said that's how well we know this game, because you said Trials, and I knew exactly what you were saying, because I thought that was named Trials, and then you said Tribes, and I was like, fuck, he's right.
Yeah, Tribes Ascension I think was like the reboot of that. This has like Tribes Ascension vibes, but you can open portals and like launch your attacks through them or shoot through them. It seems kind of cool, but again, like. It's a deathmatch shooter in a battle royale era, so I don't know how people are gonna receive it.
Yeah, for sure.
I always got emails about this game, and I was like, "Yeah, this ain't my cup of tea. I'm sorry. This just
looks very competitive."
Wild.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing it at like a PAX or something and being like, I don't know how this game's gonna fare in this like cutthroat world of like PvP games right now. Another one that I took out because I have a few games in here that I specifically think were like I called them Alex games, and that was this one called Core Keeper, which was like it looked like a co-op kind of survival game, but had a lot of like Zelda and Stardew elements to it, where it's like
excellent,
where it's like you're like straight up like working together to like manage like I don't know if it's like you're like sort of building a town, but also then you're going into like dungeons together and like fighting stuff. And just like the look of it, because I know you like there's like particular games I always like that always come up sometimes. I'm just like, oh, Alex would play this.
Yeah, I'm watching it now, and you're right.
Good,
you got me.
And I just thought it had like a neat look to it, and like it's very pixel art. Like there's some Minecrafty stuff, but then there's also like very much Stardew. Like they're like planning they're like in like a dungeon at some points and like making their own little like towns and stuff.
There's also like it scratches kind of a Terraria itch too, which isn't my jam, but I know it's like Scott and Tony's on IP, so they probably dig this as well.
Yeah, it definitely has that too, because you're like fighting bosses and stuff together too, and it looked cool. Yeah,
it looks great. Writing these down. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
saving these for later.
Yeah, another like weird, creepy game after that was called Blacktail, and it was like it was kind of like it kind of showed a little bit of gameplay, but it's basically like you're like the Wicked Witch of the Woods, but it's kind of like flipping that on its head, where it's like the kids are like the whole trailer is like the kids like talking about this evil lady that lives in the woods. but then like it turns out she's like I like at least the vibe it went for was like maybe she's not evil, and then you're actually playing as her, and like all the kids are like creepy monsters in the forest, and you're like fighting stuff. It was like first person like bow and like magic and stuff. It was just like a weird. It was like very nice looking visually because it's actually like a next gen like PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC game. That looked pretty nice. There's Death's Gambit. Remember that one year where there was like a billion Metroidvanias?
I have Death's Gambit. I've never played it.
Yeah,
I was playing too many other Metroidvanias.
Yeah, this was one of those where it like came out with like a billion of those, and now it's getting like some big update where it's like it's like new areas and bosses and stuff like that.
That is cool though.
So that was in there. Steel Rising was just like a CG trailer, but it just looked weird.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the French Revolution robot game.
Yeah, that's what
Steel Rising.
That's what Steel Rising was. Yeah, because it was like a weird CG trailer, and it's just like, man, this is fucking weird. And then I just kind of didn't think about it after that.
Is it?
Like I just went to the Steam page and it was like, it's.
Go ahead, Quinn.
Basically, the robotic French Rev, and I'm like, as like my history things like dinging like this feels weird, but I'm kind of into it.
Yeah.
Then I realized, oh, it's being developed by Spiders, the same people who did Greedfall, and I'm like, they may do it right, they may not.
Yeah,
who knows?
It's probably, as with all things, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There'll probably be a lot of column B. Yeah.
I love the idea that even in the far-flung robotic future, there's still the bourgeoisie that needs to be overthrown. You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah, it was that was super bizarre because like I didn't realize that one part where you said it was like the Greedfall developers because you just see like this the CG trailer that's probably on that Steam page is like what they just showed. They just showed like it's like here's like a CG like robot lady that's like looks like it's like kind of maybe BioShocky but also like near-ish in some weird way, and I couldn't really like it was like it didn't show gameplay, so it's just like I don't like it's just a bizarre looking thing, and I don't have the context of like what a video game, but the actual video game here is. So I just kind of.
I actually might end up like Greedfall, hearing that though.
Yeah, maybe it's some kind of action RPG thing.
Third person action RPG, yeah.
Yeah, the next game I thought. I wrote down a game I thought was Life is Strange for 30 seconds because it I like just because like you watch that and it's just like a lady walking through like this like Seattle ass like
and she's
woodsy
talking
looking down and she's just kind of talking and there's like mellow guitar strumming. I was like oh right, they are remaking those first Life is Strange games. Maybe this is it, and then it cuts to something. You're just like oh, okay, never mind. This isn't Life is Strange. Whoops. I kind of had that moment. It still had like cool vibe to it. It was called Broken Pieces.
In pieces, yeah. Your note says adventure game about a lady stuck in a town frozen in time. If Silent Hill wasn't just horror vibes from gameplay, and I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. And I watched the trailer. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually very into this.
I'm into this too. Yeah,
I'm very into like the fixed camera angles.
Yeah, because it's like old school Silent Hill, but it's not like as like fucked up as Silent Hill.
Yeah. And even when I was watching, I was like, okay, we're at a stage in games when people can just use free cameras. And I was like, the intentional use of that, like, that camera is it's so methodical, and they want us to see that. And I'm like, I'm here for what the people making this game want us to see. And I'm kind of very into that vibe, and it's very much like it's very artistic in that way, and I'm very into it.
Look forward to Quinn's review of Resident Evil 1 Remake coming soon. Very excited for that thing. That's exactly what you're talking about, though.
It's true. Got him.
I mean, it is, but they also couldn't use that camera because of technical limitations.
Yeah.
No.
I like the idea of like revisiting that.
It has tank controls, and I have to. Yeah.
The remake does not have tank controls.
The PS5 version doesn't have tank controls anymore. You can get through.
That's how I played it because I could never play the tank controls. But last year, when the pandemic started, I booted up the PS4 remake with the better controls, and I was like, I finally can play this game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I will only play Resident Evil 2 remake because it is.
Because it's got Claire Redfield in it.
Yep.
Right.
Shout out.
But yeah, that's mostly the IGN Expo. Like, there were a couple other things, but like they were not like super standout. Just again, it was a lot of indie stuff, and like we're about to go into more Guerrilla Collective, which was also a lot of indie stuff. So there was just like a lot of that going around, which is cool. But it's just like one of those things where it's like it's so hard to keep track of this all this stuff because there's just so much of it.
They can blend together.
And like a lot of it is also shown in like multiple conferences. Like literally every conference. Like I think Sable has been shown in 3 different conferences already. Already over these like past like 3 days, and like it's probably going to be in the next 2 days, the next 2 or 3 days also.
Yeah.
Because of Xbox stuff. So we'll go to now the Saturday shows, which is technically the kickoff to E3 Day 1, the actual E3 Day 1, which we'll get to. But before that, was the second part of the Guerrilla Collective. So they did like one show like a week ago for whatever reason, then did another show today. It was like the same vibe. They showed different games in each one, but it was just like a really weird how they like split it into 2 parts like that. I'll skip over a couple of these things here. The one I want to talk about, because I'm gonna skip over these first couple of things, except I'll shout out Fire Girl because it had Mario Sunshine powers in it, and it was like it's like a side-scrolling game where you're like fighting fires. But the first one I want to talk about specifically is called Akatori. There's only like a really short trailer for it, but I like it. The vibe of it as soon as I watched this trailer, and that thing like immediately spoke to me, and like this looks kind of Metroidvania-y. It's like a cool like kung fu like girl with like a staff, like really cool pixel art.
Oh yeah!
Look at this, right? Yep.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Oh yeah!
Look at that, man. Look at like this.
Kind of reminds me of, like the Messenger in like the future, like the once he got to Super Nintendo style.
Sure, right? Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and she has like cool like you know like magical powers, and like there's like a cool like cyberpunk city just for whatever reason in there. It was
very good.
Yeah,
this is a good one.
Yeah, very cool trailer.
It has a vibe, and they nail it.
Yeah, very cool, and like I don't think they had like a specific date for it or anything. It might be next year. But yeah, it was definitely like that. I was watching the Guerrilla Collective this morning, and like that, like when this game popped up, and it like immediately perked me up. Like, oh shit, look at this!
Yeah,
sick. Just like cool combat, really nice pixel art.
That was me with Death's Door, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh shit, show. Yep.
This game.
Yeah, super cool. That was definitely one of my favorites. Seeing that this morning. What else we got here? Ghost Runner is coming to Nintendo Switch. That's out there. There's this cool. It was like
I want to shout out real quick.
Sure.
No Longer Home.
Oh yeah.
This looks basically like, because it's above the things you mentioned. So
sure, yeah, we can.
Yeah. It looks really rad. I'm not able to watch the trailer, but I'm looking at the screens and I'm reading the Steam page.
Yeah,
but it had the whole diorama aspect I love. And the whole like, hey, you're immersing your lives in these 2 characters, and it's a duality. It sounds rad.
Yeah. The presentation was in the Guerrilla Collective, and it was really cool because it was basically like it was like it's 2 developers, and it's kind of like they kind of modeled the 2 main characters that you're following after like kind of their own lives when they kind of had to go. When they basically left home to go to college, and then it's kind of like a growing story. And yeah, it has like it's kind of like this like showing like the game through these dioramas, and it had a neat look for sure. Let's see. Let me go. There's another one I wanted to look at as well.
Curious to how Ghost Runner runs on Switch.
Yeah, I'm gonna be curious. I'm gonna be curious about that too. The one that was cool. I didn't grab the trailer, but it was called Loot River. Like it's basically
Loot River is really cool.
Yeah, cause it's kind of like it's sort of roguelike-ish.
It's a roguelike,
but you're No, go.
You can explain, Mike.
Oh, sure.
Or
you go ahead.
the idea is like it's the environment is procedurally generated, and it has set kind of blocks that like or set designs to progress. Kind of if you're familiar with like Spelunky, or they compared it to Spelunky and the one that everybody likes with Dead Cells.
Right.
And so the environment is made of Tetris pieces, essentially, like Tetraminos, those kinds of shapes, and you can move them around. And then that will bring you up to enemies or bring you away from enemies, or you can send enemies away on these little pieces. And so you're kind of, while you're controlling your top-down character action, kind of like Hyper Light Drifter-esque style, you're also shifting these pieces around as well. Either to maybe get away or to solve puzzles. Like they showed a lot of instances where the rooms, like you had to move pieces out of the way and then get on like a single square piece and shoot through like a hallway into a new area. That was how they showed like how the world kind of funnels you towards different objectives. Very cool. It's a cool like mesh of two ideas.
Nice. Yeah, it definitely looked neat like that. Like you were kind of like shifting the islands to kind of help you in combat, where like, oh, you're kind of kiting this really big monster around to here, and then like shifting the island around so he gets kind of trapped, so you can kind of like better attack him and stuff. They showed like a little like gameplay snippet of like kind of one of the developers like talking about it in that piece, and it was cool. It was a cool conceptually.
Yeah.
How that all looked.
Yeah.
Another quick one.
I think it'd be a super fun game to watch speedruns of.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be a great speed run. Like that's a great speed run like game to watch.
They showed like a little bit of stuff at the end.
The way that
and it was like a lot of like really fast paced movement and stuff. It was cool. I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. That you are right. That'd be cool. Like I definitely watch that speed run for sure. Or somebody else like really skilled at that game. Like try and learn to like master it. Be pretty cool.
Yeah.
A quick one I'll shout out to was it's a game called Slime Heroes, where it's just like another turn on like, hey, what if slimes were the good guys and they fought enemies? And it's like you're like making like a sword out of goo like come out of you and attack, and it's also a 2-player co-op, and you're also like making your own like magic attacks and stuff. It's cool. This next one, Demon Turf. I don't know if any of y'all have seen this game yet.
Yeah, I saw them showing it off in another thing I want to say today, or I think it was right around here that I jumped on.
Yeah,
and started watching.
Yeah. And this game is it's been revealed for a little while, and it's because it's coming out pretty soon. But like, man, this is like super cool because it's like basically like it is kind of like a 3D platformer, but it's like all done with like 2D art. So like the characters like 2D flat, like a lot of the enemies and the environments are like the world's 3D, but then like the environment, like the characters and stuff you're interacting with are all 2D, and like the whole thing is like you're like getting different, you're like fighting demons in like a demon realm, so you're getting like different demon powers, and they showed like some more combat-y stuff in this particular showcase, which is like really cool because you get like special abilities, sort of like almost like Mega Man in a way, where it's like clearly like probably got these abilities from some enemy you fought, and like you're like grapple hooking enemies to you and like shooting stuff out and like getting like cool like crazy jumps. And they show like later in the footage of like again the kind of like a speed running style thing where it's like here's like a character like doing the crazy platforming things around this like big tower, and how you can kind of use all of their abilities once you have like a bunch of them to use in the game. Yeah, the game just like really just it's a cool look to it. I've been watching it for a while, just like seeing it on Twitter and stuff, just like waiting for it to come out because it just looks really cool from a visual perspective.
The shifting of perspectives that it does is really interesting.
Yeah, totally.
It's cool to see.
Yeah, it's super cool. I'm really stoked for that one.
Any other highlights, Mike?
There's a couple more here.
I read your note here about Hello Neighbor 2, and I also did not know this about Hello Neighbor 2.
Yeah, because they actually like described it, and that was like one of those first times I actually like paid enough attention to that game to like see people like describing it and telling where it was, where it's like, oh, it's the neighbor is like an AI. It's not. Like the whole time I thought it was like a player playing as the neighbor, and like it was like a multiplayer kind of thing, where it's like, oh, kids would know. The neighbor is like an AI, and it learns from like every like match essentially, because you're going in and like trying to get into the neighbor's house and like learn like his like evil secret. But then the whole thing is like it learns every single match and gets smarter and smarter and smarter, and then
Quinn has a deep, concerning question. Probably,
I read that as quote, I didn't realize it was a Weird Al game. Weird Al Yankovic. I didn't realize y'all were talking about AI.
No, it's an AI.
I mean, there might be a mod that turns
I kind of knew this about the game.
Mod.
I kind of knew that about the game itself, but when I read that, I was like, wait.
Whoa, Weird Al voices the neighbor.
Weird Al
what?
is the neighbor.
Like, and I was like,
he plays music while he follows you around.
Not until now. This was like an hour ago when I was reading this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This idea that the Hello Neighbor 2 is like a whole town that learns from the player base is terrifying.
And that's how they described it, because like they first started because there's like a whole like kind of like gameplay like breakdown to an extent shown in the thing of like showing like how the neighbor learns, where it showed this like scene where like a character's like running down a hallway one way, but there's like two ways the neighbor could have gone, and initially it knows to go this way, but then like as it progresses, it knows to learn it can go this way and kind of like cut off the character, but even further, it can learn to like throw like an object to like stop a door and slam the door in front of him, and it gets like crazy smart apparently as it grows. And then they went on to go say like, yeah, there's now you're like going through like the whole town instead of just like the neighbor's house. And there's other characters, and they didn't show like how deep that stuff is specifically, but they just showed like a few of like who the characters look like, where it's just like here's like a shady like character sitting on a bench you can go talk to, and like they're saying like, yeah, all these characters you can interact with, and they learn from like what players are doing too, and like the interactions they do in the world, and it's just like, geez, that sounds kind of nuts.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, if it's anything like
making Skynet in a video game,
yeah, pretty much.
This is probably where it starts.
Yeah, for sure.
If anything like the first game, we're gonna see it at every PAX for the next 6 years. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was already at like it was even at like PAX 2020, I think, when we went there. I'm pretty sure
it might have been. I have no idea. There was a Hello Neighbor game there, at the very least.
Yes, it definitely was. I definitely remember seeing that weird, creepy looking dude at the tiny I think it's Tiny Bill that does that booth.
Yep. That's like Tiny Build's like marquee franchise.
Another quick one. There's a couple here I still want to shout out here because there are some cool indie stuff that I have trailers for. Area of Spirits, I would say, is another Alex game, whereas basically like a Zelda.
Now, it sounds like it.
Yes.
It really does. I don't even need to see it. I'm in.
There's a trailer. It's like, yeah, if you watch that trailer, it's like 100% like, oh yeah, it's like a Zelda game, and like, but you're also like a kind of like almost like a spirit. It looks like you're maybe like a spirit guide, or like maybe like the spirit realm kind of thing going on. It was very cute and very Zelda, 2D Zelda for sure. Unmetal was like a really weird game that's like a spoof. It's basically like is the gameplay of like the original, like, what is that, SNES Metal Gears, not Metal Gear Solid, but Metal Gears. But it's like a satire on it, where it's like how, you know, like, I wouldn't go this far, but it's like, you know, remember MacGruber? Like, of course, we know MacGruber, that ridiculous movie. It's like that concept of action movies, but applied to this like this like Metal Gear game, where it's like, you know, characters, like it showed like a scene where you're like stealthing down a hallway, and like a trash can rustles, and the guards in the room go like, "What's that?" And your character freaks out. Then it just turns out it's a dog. Like in the trash can, the dog runs away. And then your character's like, oh, phew. And then he like walks up to the trash can, and then it shakes, and the people like freak out and start shooting at him. And it's like clearly like a jokey kind of satire version of those.
It's funny though, but like
games.
In Metal Gear, in that game, in the trash can is a man shitting himself.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I don't know how they can like parody that. I don't know what the answer is.
And well, I think that's the thing, where it's it's more a parody of those older games than not necessarily like the newer games.
I guess Metal Gear Solid in a way just became a parody of those games as well.
Sure,
so yeah,
totally.
fair, absolutely.
Sure, totally. So like it was just like a bizarre thing.
That's cool. That's a cool idea. I like that.
Yes. And then the last one, like one here, I also say, which I recommend, like Alex and even Scott watching the trailer for Wolfstride if you have not seen this game, because holy shit, like it's cool, really cool animation. It's basically like it's like a mech game, where you're like building a mech, but then you're like in these 2D fights.
I saw that.
Yes, yeah, it's that game looks super art, and it's like black and white, kind of like that. It kind of reminds me of that one black and white game on Wii. What was that called?
Mad World.
Mad World, yeah. But it's like mechs, and it's like very like Gurren Lagann, like animation style, like Trigger, their studio animation style inspired, and it has a really cool look to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. It is a really cool animation.
Yeah, that's really dope. They showed another Sable trailer that looks amazing. If you want to see, I posted it up with the other Sable thing with that. But if you want to see like the most Breath of the Wild ass Sable trailer, that was in this news.
I watched
so good.
it. Yeah,
so good. I was like, fuck yeah, can't wait for that fucking game.
Yeah.
But I think that's mostly it. There's like a couple of things like there's like an updated version of that Raji Ancient Epic game that came out. They're like doing like an updated version of that with like new stuff. There's like a cool like 2D. If you know what Total Accurate Battle Simulator is, Totally Accurate Battle.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're making like there's a game in here that's called, what was it called? Despots game, which is basically like a 2D version of that, but it's like a roguelite like dungeon game where it's like you like basically make a bunch of like units, and then you're going through like a randomly generated dungeon with those units and trying to survive. As you go to new floors, you're like giving them mutations where it's like, oh, now this dude's like a ninja, or this dude's like a weird vampire guy, and he has weird abilities on your team, and they're like, it's like big crowds of dudes like fighting each other through the dungeon.
Yeah,
it's a cool concept for like
some maybe a highlight or two from the Wholesome Direct as well.
Sure, yeah. Before we'll jump into some E3 and Ubisoft stuff after this. But yeah, let me know what you saw.
The big one for me was Soup Pot, which is just a cooking simulator.
Yeah.
I really liked the whole kind of setup of it. It is a cooking simulator. It is not. They clarified toward the end of the trailer or the presentation that it is not exclusively soup pot based cooking. They have grilling and stuff in there as well.
There's other stuff. That's funny.
I love the vibe they talked about this whole approach of like a lot of people cooking in quarantine. Anyone that follows me on Instagram knows I am one of those people. And the idea that there's no fail state, you complete every recipe even if it comes out bad, so that way you learn and can do better next time. I imagine it maybe it's a little bit of like them telling you maybe if you overcooked something or didn't add something or didn't stir something correctly, so that way you know what to do better next time. There's also like this whole social media website they call the Cookbook, and I don't know if that's going to like you're going to be able to interact with other players on there, but that's like where you unlock recipes and stuff, and they're all based on real recipes from dozens of different cultures.
Nice. That's cool.
And so you can take the recipes out of the game and actually make them yourself if you want to.
Oh, okay.
Cool. It's cool. Yeah. It's just a really cool idea for a cooking game.
I like that because it's like also like giving it like having that also real world application of like, here you can just learn how to make the food you're making in the video game. That's cool.
And it seems like very chill. You know, obviously knowing that you can mess up some of these things is whatever, but the music is very laid back. It's very much like I'm gonna vibe out and just cook some in this video game.
Yeah, right.
That was the only one. A Garden Story was another one. We have seen Garden Story. We did see it at the Fabled PAX 2020. It seems like it's expanded a lot since we saw it.
Cool.
Looks great. Just absolutely. I think that was in Day of the Devs as well. And yeah, it is.
It's coming out this summer, I think.
Yeah, it's soon. A lot of these games are soon.
Yeah.
Which is great as well. Summer full of indies is always a good summer in my opinion.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think those are the big ones I would call out. So we can get into the big boys here. We talk about Ubisoft.
Ubisoft. Yeah, real quick though, I do just want to ask.
Oh yeah.
Did any of you actually watch the actual E3? Like, go to twitch.tv/E3 or YouTube E3? Like any of, because they did like a pre-show thing. Like that's like the thing Greg Miller and them were doing.
I missed it.
You didn't miss much.
I heard.
ESA paid someone to do a thing for E3?
Ubisoft pre-show.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah, because it was. I mean, like it, like hey, like I'm not like this is by no means like hey, we're here with him, Greg Miller. I'm not
Yeah, he's our friend.
No, not bashing him or anybody that like they got the check, they took the bag. I don't blame them. But that was like a really also boring thing of just like them like cutting to being like, hey, we're gonna put a poll on and you let us know what you think is what you most looking forward to in this thing. Oh, do you want to know our schedule? We're gonna show our schedule for the third time in the first 15 minutes of this thing, and it's just like, oh, we're going to cut over to this set, and they're going to tell you about what they're looking forward to. Look, Michael Hyam's here, and he's going to talk about Nier for like 5 minutes, and then like they at least let him do that, which I appreciate. Good for that. Good on him getting in there and getting that. But it
seems just like a pre-show where they had nothing planned.
Exactly. It was just like it was like the most pre-show preamble of pre-shows out of anything I've ever seen, and it was just very weird because it's like I can literally go watch like any other creator like do the same exact thing they're doing right now, so I don't really understand why they also did this.
He's just trying to get in on it, you know.
It was just, but it was also like there were a couple of weird things because they started like when it first started. I'm pretty sure it was Craig Miller. He just like, well, here we have a special guest to introduce to you. He's going to tell you some very special info, and it cuts to the mayor of Los Angeles, just being like, everyone, we're so happy. We obviously can't have an in-person event, but man, we love E3. We love this event because all you fucking dorks come here and give us so much money. But we're looking forward to when we can get back in person again. It was just the mayor of like the fucking mayor of Los Angeles, just on this E3 stream.
That's very funny because I'm pretty sure the mayor of LA is a very hated guy.
Oh yeah, nobody likes that guy.
If I know my if I know my Southern California politics, everyone fucking hates that guy. So him showing up is like, yeah,
it's perfect. Man, it's exactly what E3 would do. The ESA was like, you know what would be a great idea?
What the ESA would do.
It was just very weird because this is like I didn't watch this for very long. I probably watched like maybe like the first like 30-ish minutes just to like see what it was and then just to like get a feel for it. And it was like, okay, yeah, this is what this is just going to be probably for this whole thing. Now I know to not tune in for like the next couple of days whenever they do this. But that was very funny to me to see. just it cut to Greg Miller and Jackie. It was like Jackie. I think she used to be like an IGN host.
Yeah, Jackie Jing from IGN.
Yeah.
And Golden Boy, who is like a video game esports announcer.
He's like a big announcer.
He does a lot of stuff.
He does things for wrestling too.
Yeah, and like I get it. He
gets around. He's
blowing up.
Yeah, he was pretty good in that show, and he stuck with everybody in there. He was good, for what that was. But
it's a bummer because like they get the talent, but they don't like do anything with it.
Yes, exactly. They just. They didn't really do much with it, even in that. At least that bit I watched. But anyway,
you know who's talented and got to take center stage though at Ubisoft is Yusuf Magid.
That's right.
Loved by all, but no more than by Belinda Garcia. Shout out to Yusuf, Irrational Passions alum and absolute
excellent
homie. Ubisoft. So they had 6 games, and I liked this. It was pretty focused. You know, and I feel like they everything but Far Cry. I feel like they showed well just because they didn't show any Far Cry again. But which is weird. Obviously, the pre-show, you were there for that too, Scott, of just like all their open world games, people walking in them, which is a weird tack to take. But
I watched it for like 5 minutes, and then when I realized that this was all it was going to be, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have this on the background in case something happens, and I'm just gonna start playing games again.
Yeah, I was playing PvP and Destiny while I had that up in the back. They started up with Rainbow Six Extraction. Now the official name, not Rainbow Six Parasite, not Rainbow Six Quarantine. Definitely not that one. And we got a big CG trailer, and then we get kind of a nice little gameplay breakdown. What do you guys think of this? Scott, we can start with you.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'm sorry, Mike.
No, yeah, because I've been talking this whole time, so that's totally fine.
So, because you tuned in for this one, what did you think, Scott?
I thought it was. I mean, I think I would play this if it was like $30 or on Game Pass.
Sure.
Because I think this is like it's September 12th or 20th or something. It comes out in September, if I remember correctly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah, it's September.
And I just like this would only. I would honestly only see myself playing this until Back 4 Blood comes out.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think it looks cool. It's strange to me that it's only up to 3 players and not 4. That seems kind of strange to me.
Yeah.
But no, I think it looks interesting. It's much more Left 4 Dead than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah.
And the fact that like lose one of your operators, you can't use them until you rescue them. I think that could be an interesting mechanic. Yeah, especially with Tales of Arise coming out right around the same time, I don't see myself jumping into Rainbow Six Extraction.
That's what I thought too, and I think this was when I posted in our Slack of like, man, September is getting stacked up.
Yeah.
And a lot of things are like right on top of each other, which is cool. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I'm definitely into it. I'm definitely into the premise of it, but I think it's similar to Scott of like I could see myself checking this out, but then like once something like Back 4 Blood comes out that I'm more intrigued in, I would probably switch to that. Granted though, I do like that this one they did say it has crossplay, so it's like it is nice to be able to just like being able to like jump around or play with anybody on any system right at launch is like really good. I like excuse me. I do like the kind of more tacticalness of like what they were trying to show, how they tried to show this off of like, you know, there's characters using different like specific abilities of like this character's dropping down a mine and like they're, you know, blocking off entranceways and making kind of like choke points and stuff. I think like taking that more tactical thing that I think comes from Rainbow Six Siege, which I've never really played much of, and like them kind of applying that some of those ideas to this style of game is a cool concept. But yeah, I just don't know how much it's gonna fret when we have, you know, Back 4 Blood, and like there was like another one there's another one of these style of games at Summer Game Fest that looked okay. It is on Game Pass. There's like an aliens like Marines like looking one that's supposed to be coming out.
That's right. There is that alien one too, isn't there?
And that's coming out like soon. That's like later this month or July or something like that. And then there's probably one more. There's probably one more. I'm forgetting. There's like a bunch of them this year. It's cool. Like I want to check them all out because I like this style of game. I really like this trend of just people being like, oh yeah, fucking Left 4 Dead was sick and fun. Why don't we just make one of those? And like that's like now all of those are just like dropping, but now they're all dropping at the same exact time. So it's just like, we're gonna have to figure
like
out.
With all things, it's like that with Metroidvanias in 2018. You know, it's weird. Like we all have these ideas collectively.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, how are we gonna have to? Well, like you said in our Slack, we'll just ultimately probably have to pick and choose stuff. And I think a thing like, you know, it having crossplay and it having if it comes to Game Pass or is not like a fully priced $60 or even $70 game, like that would definitely help the chances of us, of at least me, like looking and playing this game more than like just like playing a couple matches or something like that right when it comes out or something like that. So I'm willing to give this one a shot, but I don't know if it will have legs.
Yeah, I like the look of it, and similar to what you're saying, Mike. Like I'm interested in the idea of those tactical aspects of Rainbow Six, kind of being a big part of this. And they like in the CG trailer, I guess, and in the gameplay, like they showed a bunch of operators from Rainbow Six Siege. So a lot of the characters that you play will be from that, and I'm curious if like there has to be like big changes to those characters transitioning over. That also makes me wonder like how many characters or operatives will this start with? Will they be ones that are kind of original to this game and only make sense for this game? Yeah, I had a lot of questions about that style of it. But they showed some of the cool kind of more tactical aspects of the gameplay. I just know in Siege, if you're not like on it, you're gonna get wrecked. So that makes me kind of excited. Potentially at like high level play in this game being something really unique because it is not Left 4 Dead. It is way more of like you kind of have to stealth your way and be really careful in it. So it could be cool. I also really liked that, you know, you kind of play into a level and you stop at a point and you can go deeper and it's going to get more dangerous, but you're going to get better rewards, or you can pull out. I think that's really cool too.
Yeah.
Just kind of like that roguelike design.
Yeah, and I'm 100% with you in the like. In a weird way, I could see myself playing something like a Back 4 Blood as just like it's more fun to just like, and it's obviously 4 players, so more of us can play together, and just it being that more just like it's fun. We're just shooting and going crazy, and it's just a fun time. Where like this is like sort of like a little bit more tense. It could be a little bit more tactical and like a little bit more challenging, and much more of like in a way that like, you know, there's those two sides to Destiny 2. Hell yeah, I'm bringing it up, baby.
Yeah, that's
like,
exactly what I was thinking of.
Like you have kind of like, oh, okay, we're just running some strikes together, or maybe we're doing like a dungeon, which is a little bit more low key, just kind of fun. But we also have like these raid experiences where you kind of everyone has to kind of be on their game and kind of be communicating to each other, and like, you know, knowing these specific mechanics that are in play.
That's what people like about Siege, right? And I would be
Sure.
excited to see that translate into Extraction.
Yeah,
cool.
and it's some of that stuff they showed specifically in that gameplay sequence, which I think spoke to me more, was like even just stuff like there's like these like weird like red like kind of blobs that are like in the parts of the level, and they like create this like black goo that like slowly just like erodes in the stage. And like if you get like kind of, if you like walk into that stuff, it'll like attract enemies, and like they'll realize you'll like know where you are, so you actually like have to like shoot the goop up like off the ground. Like there's like scenes of these guys like kind of like popping the ground with stuff, or like using specific abilities to just wipe it away. And then there's like specific like, you know, Left 4 Dead style like enemy like boss kind of zombies, where there's one that's like completely armored in the front, so you just like everything bounces off of them, but then you have to like get behind him and shoot him. So like using those, like, you know, they showed like, you know, like decoys and stuff you can throw down as a certain character. And there was like another one that was like that could make like other enemies invisible if it like spits up on them or something weird like that. So there was like a lot of cool interesting stuff in there. So it has me intrigued, but yeah, it ultimately just depends on, you know.
This is one I would be very interested in like a beta of, and seeing like what the initial impression of it is.
Yeah, them doing like some kind of initial test period for sure. Yeah.
I don't know if you had anything else you want to add, Quinn. Cause I didn't know if you'd caught this one.
I haven't watched really anything from the Ubisoft thing. Thank God Mike took detailed notes. Yeah, the Ubisoft mess. But no, the idea of a more tactical Left 4 Dead is more intriguing to me, because Left 4 Dead, if I remember, like when I played it, was just like, oh, I'm just gonna hang out, shoot the shit, and not really pay attention to what the fuck I'm playing.
Right.
Yeah. It was just very like mindless. In the same way that like when Mike brought up Destiny 2 Strikes, that's like when I run strikes with him or just random people, it's just like, cool, we're just gonna hang out, chat, or I'm just gonna listen to music. And I think as someone who's played Siege before, in like 2016, 2017 when it came out, the gun feel is very good. And I think that's something that Left 4 Dead style games don't really get well, is like the weapons feeling good. And so that like the gun feel on top in a like a more tactical Left 4 Dead style thing has me honestly more intrigued than Back 4 Blood. Because like if Back 4 Blood just looks like literally Left 4 Dead, and like, don't get me wrong, I'm here for that. I am, but I want something to keep me engaged more than, hey, there's a big zombie running at us, we need to loop it around a few times. I want to like think about choke points. I want to think about supplies, who's with me, what do I need to do to get
to the end. You
or
know
like
what I mean?
breakable parts
And
of cover
for
and
me,
walls.
Left 4 Dead's never been that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think like to be fair, there is like high level Left 4 Dead play where you are calling out like reloading and like you're shooting down hordes. I just think like that's like a scale of like, you're mowing down hordes and hordes for like 30 seconds straight, whereas this is like I'm gonna take a headshot on 2 zombies and it's a big deal, So it's just totally different scales, and I think that's cool that they can kind of coexist.
Yeah.
But let's move on. The next two I feel like we don't spend too much time on. They announced Rocksmith Plus, which, boy, I was watching the Easy Allies while I was watching this, and they made a joke of it, but like whoever had Rocksmith on their bingo card, their E3 bingo card, was probably so stoked. Just like absolutely lost their mind. I mean, this is very much an intelligent, like it's like an app or a PC app of integrating that and using that to kind of teach you music with an actual instrument. They showed like a tablature view that you can switch to as well, which I think is really cool. And there will be a network where you can upload and share stuff. It's cool. I like the idea of a video game company still like pursuing that idea, and now that there's kind of more of a natural outlet for it, like just having an app on the App Store or something like that, it makes a lot of sense.
I'm curious how much the subscription fee is going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
There was another trend we saw during the COVID-19 quarantine stay-at-home orders, in the United States at least, was a lot of people getting back into music games.
Yeah.
So I think part of this is them being like, hey, what's like, oh, people are actually are giving a shit about this again. What can we try to do? Granted, this was probably in production way before, but it's still on the the heels of, hey, people getting back into wanting to play music games.
And also, like, people teaching themselves an instrument at home.
Hey,
on top of that.
Yeah. And the way it's a subscription service and it like updates weekly is kind of cool. And I think I'm happy someone's still making music games. And it's not like, don't get me wrong, Clone Hero's great, but I'm happy that someone official is making it and it's like getting licenses so artists can get paid, and stuff like that. So,
yeah, it's cool. They showed off more Riders Republic. I don't know if they announced this last year or 2 years ago. That's coming out in September as well, September 2nd. From the folks what made Steep. There was like a first-person mountain biking experience, and I don't know if any of y'all have a fear of heights, but that shit gave me real bad anxiety. But it was cool. Like I think this is like a cool idea for anyone that's like, I just want to like go downhill with 300 other people, like for sure. Like
it's just I thought the racing, like that was the thing that stuck to me, because immediately like it was like just like a general sports game came up, I just like I start glazing over, but it was cool like seeing like I had that, like you can see from my notes actually, of just like, wait, there's jetpacks in this now, like so I was just like kind of glazed over, and all of a sudden I just like come back to and just see like some dude, see like 30 people with just like weird jetpack suits flying through a cavern, and just like
super cool, like what? Okay,
is this the same video game? What's happening? Okay. Oh well.
Wait, like actual jetpacks or like wingsuits?
They're like wingsuits.
They have
rocket
with
power.
rockets. Yeah,
it's like pretty much just a jetpack.
Okay.
They're like wings, and they were like flying around, and it was just like.
And then there is also like wingsuits. Of like
just like normal,
suits.
like normal ones.
I've always wanted to play Steep. So
I feel like that has Quinn written on it. This could be. You should watch the gameplay they showed of this. Because, like, they have, like, the big races. They also have, like, you can just, like, hang out and do tricks on, like, an area.
And it's like,
let me, like, do whatever I want by myself.
And it's, like, multiple, like, sports where you can, like, get on a bike and, like, go off and fuck around. Or you can, like, get in, like,
snowboarding.
You can snowboard or ski and, like, just, like, go off and do stuff.
Yeah. So it seems cool. It seems very, like, a game that you could chill out to, which is weird considering it's very extreme sports, but
right.
Yeah.
I appreciate these quick bullet
Sports
points.
games
Mike,
are very good.
of just like the stuff that they kind of didn't spend a lot of time on.
Yeah, I just said, they're showing Rainbow Six Siege again. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's Just Dance. Okay.
It's so funny. The Just Dance part was like they showed this guy that my roommate showed me 2 years ago. It was like, this guy's gonna blow up. Don't even fucking wait for it. And then he's like in Ubisoft. I'm like, what?
I've never seen. This is the first time I've ever seen this man in my life.
And no one should know about it. Like when I watched him, he had like 20,000 views on YouTube or whatever. And yeah, he's like a YouTube guy, and he was very charismatic. So I appreciate that.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a weird moment. There's more Assassin's Creed DLC.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about that Assassin's Creed DLC, which was surprising, was like that it wasn't just like for the rest of this year. They were like, and next year we're gonna have even more DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I was just like, what? I guess they're taking a long time to work on whatever the next gen.
And they said like this is like the longest DLC thing that they're doing for Assassin's Creed game, which I feel like it might not be true, considering I feel like Odyssey like was supported into last year as well. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I would bet like COVID probably pushed their timeline back for that. So they're like, all right, let's just make some more DLC for this.
Right.
Or Magic Vikings, everybody.
Yeah. Magic Viking Ireland Dreams. Go ahead.
The one good thing about the Assassin's Creed DLC is that Dan Stapleton from IGN is going to give that to Jarrett to review, so Jarrett will get paid.
Heck yeah.
That's the one good thing about it.
He can check out Assassin's Creed Viking Tours, which is like the thing they did for the one Assassin's Creed where it's like a
historical
it's like a historical tour, of the Viking Age or whatever. Look out for Jared Green's review of the history of Vikings in Assassin's Creed, I guess.
They showed Far Cry 6 stuff that was pretty pitch black. If I'm being perfectly honest, totally, it was very dark, and I was pretty sad afterwards.
That's kind of the thing they're going for with. I feel like this game.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was intense.
Yeah, because it seemed like it was like an basically either like opening scene of the game or like in that initial opening where it's like you and your player character that you choose and like your friend. Like getting onto this boat to like escape, like the I guess like is like an island you're on in that game.
Yeah,
is that the thing?
Yara.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't know.
It's basically Cuba.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like they keep flipping and flopping back and forth to how they are going to market this game. With, it's not political. It's political. It's this dictator that we want you to think is like, okay, I could kind of see where he's coming from, and then in the trailer. He mows down a grandma and then like a boat full of like women and children.
It's a lot.
What?
Yeah, this feels like some high execs at Ubisoft still like fighting each other over like what they actually fucking want out of their video games. And...
It felt very out of touch, is what I would say. But again, it was just this CG trailer of this cutscene in the game, and that was it. And this game is like coming out soon, right?
Well, so they had like a few weeks ago like a separate premiere of Far Cry 6 that was like actual like gameplay and stuff.
I know, it's just like
the thing that was also weird was like they showed like post-launch DLC for this in here too, and it was like it's
you play as the antagonist from the last 3 games.
Yeah, you play as like the villains of the last 3 games. I don't know, but it's like you're like playing as them in like some weird dream reality that they're like going through. I like don't understand. Like
it's more of like their kind of mystical DLC stuff that they've been doing with Far Cry. I think.
Yeah, it was super. It was like very weird. Just like what in the world? And then they.
And I guess we'll get Blood Dragon.
Yeah,
and
they just show like also with this season pass you'll just get Far Cry Blood Dragon, which I hope that's at least like some kind of like remastered version of that where it's like better visuals or something. That'd be cool instead of just like here it is on ported or whatever.
Yeah,
because I did like
that. But it's okay. We got through that. We get rewarded here. Mario+Rabbids Sparks of Hope, y'all.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about Avatar Frontiers.
I really wish
Nintendo we actually get rewarded.
Nintendo posted this to their website like an hour before Ubisoft's press conference. And then
it was
like this morning,
last night or something.
It was like this morning. It just like the official. It was like official Nintendo.com like eShop store page for this game just went up and had like a bunch of screenshots, like the name of the game and like all the details, and we're just like, oh, okay, that's unfortunate. And then it went down like before. I think it did go down before this presentation.
Yeah, before this one happened.
But then but then like it was like an hour before this presentation or something, so they just showed it again and put it back up. But yeah, this
weird.
It was weird, and I'm stoked to play another one of these games, and I like the kind of they did show like a little bit of gameplay of like, and show like some of like the clear like new ideas. Like the number one thing for me was like that I wanted from that first game was them to like also move on to introduce like Mario enemies into it, and it looks like they're doing exactly that. Like there was like bombs and Goombas like fighting alongside the Rabbids, and I was like, yes. That's so cool, because those characters can be, all those enemy types can be like translated in such cool ways to that like combat style.
Totally. In a similar way to like every time you fight a new Mario enemy in like a Paper Mario, it's like, oh, I'm like curious how this is going to work in this RPG format. Like totally the same vibe here. Honestly, I got a lot of Paper Mario vibes here, which is only a compliment. Looks great. And Schreier tweeted later that this potentially could have been Switch Pro footage, but we will know probably in a couple days.
Right.
But they talked to the developer, the director is back, and I love that he's like, they're doing Galaxy and Rosalina, and there's this terrible the Rabid Lumas, which are terrible, but I love them.
Those are like the sparks, like that's what they're referring to as. They're like
and
rabid Lumas.
Heavy implication that more characters are gonna be here. One, I think, and they didn't want to say, but one I think guarantee is because the villain is some fucking other thing. Is Bowser? I think is probably gonna be on your team.
Well, Bowser's on the cover.
Yeah. So he's got to be on your team.
I think he could be one of the characters in this. That'd be super fun.
But also, I want to ask you, Mike, is Waluigi rolling up in this game?
I mean, so like I guess spoilers for the first game or whatever, but like a Rabid, Wario, and Waluigi are like a boss in like the first Kingdom battle towards the end of the game.
Cool.
So like there is precedence for like Wario and Waluigi to like show up in this game. The one thing I'm most curious about is like the whole setup of like they said they're going beyond the Mushroom Kingdom and they're going to different worlds. And you can also look at the one DLC that came out for Mushroom Kingdom Battle was like a Donkey Kong, full-on Donkey Kong DLC, and is like the whole premise of like you're now in the Donkey Kong universe with Rabbids, and you're doing like a Donkey Kong and I think Diddy Kong was in it too, or maybe it's like
Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and then Cranky Kong Rabbid.
Rabbid, Cranky Kong. I think there's like one other in there too.
Yeah, I think there's one more too.
But yeah, it's like the same idea, and like you're doing the same kind of combat, but like in a Donkey Kong world. And the Rabid Donkey Kong shows up in that again. So like they open the doors to maybe have other Nintendo video game universes. In that
Star Fox rolls up in an R-Wing, gets out,
fights alongside Rabid
Fox.
Rabid Star Fox.
It's a Rabid Fox.
I don't know if I could handle seeing that.
just a frothing fox, like a fox frothing at the mouth with rabies.
They enter into an F-Zero car race, race against the Blue Falcon, and then at the end of the race it pops open and it's Rabid Captain Falcon.
Oh my god!
Jumps out of the Blue Falcon. Exactly.
Guys, we're missing the most important Nintendo franchise here. Pilot Wings.
No. Then it would just be
silence after that. Thank you.
Me Rabbids.
I don't think you were born when the last Pilot Wings game came out.
No, there was one for 3DS.
Yeah, and I was also just making a joke because no one likes Pilot Wings.
Well, I mean, there are some dedicated Pilot Wings fans.
Yeah, and one thing I will mention, just like we're getting into like fantasizing territory of like other Nintendo franchises, but they did show like in the there's like in the art Scott was talking about earlier, and like in that kind of little gameplay at the end, they showed some like edgelord Rabid who like looks like a Final Fantasy character who has like a big sword. Rabbid. So it could be a thing where there's like more original Rabbid characters taking up some of those slots, which I would be kind of bummed by, but I get it. They're also trying to build like their own little. Clearly, like this did really well for them, and they're clearly trying to make it into a slightly bigger universe of maybe more games beyond just a single game like this.
Yeah, and they showed
because it looked like there was I felt like there was like a much bigger production value in general for this whole this whole Rabbid presentation, and like the whole they had like a full CGI cutscene for this.
Yeah, it looked really great.
Like fully produced, like it looked like a movie level quality production of CG for this Mario+Rabbids reveal. So
yeah, it's cool to see this blow up, and it looked like there's just a lot more that we can see. I'm curious like how they are going to handle how many characters you have, if you're going to have like a specific crew for each area or not. But
yeah.
They showed like more of the world area. They showed how they're updating the combat system to be a little bit more fluid, and
that was a big
NPCs
thing. Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah, like that was a big thing of like I noticed was they showed like battles initiated kind of more like a traditional RPG style. Like a character runs into you, it then transitions into an arena to fight dudes instead of like the first game where it was like you like kind of go down a linear path and then it just takes you to that arena like on the linear path. So that's cool. Like that's like a cool expansion, and like with many people speculating, maybe that expansion is possible because of the Super Nintendo Switch coming later this fall.
I just want to put it out. I'm putting it out there now. Nintendo said there was only be software at this thing. And I think people just need to temper themselves.
True.
I personally think, because like a lot of the rumors were the Switch Pro or whatever it is was going to be here before it, because that way a bunch of third parties and Nintendo can show games and say like it'll be on that too, and it takes advantage of all that stuff. But like clearly that probably just didn't go through. I still think this like there's just too many like well-known people that like live in those kind of like they have the scoops and the leaks that like think this thing is a real thing for me to like not believe this is a real thing.
I just wonder if they'll talk about it on Tuesday.
Yeah, I could see them like not really talking about it, and maybe they shifted plans and are gonna show it later this year, because like they showed the one Switch that was like the smaller one without
Switch
the dock.
Lite. Yeah.
Like that one was speculated on for a while, and then like they didn't show it during an E3 style thing
they just
I think. And
dropped it in September.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I could see them doing that with this too.
Well, let's not get too much into the Switch Pro weeds, because we have to talk about Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora.
Sure.
Weren't you so sad that you missed this, Quinn?
No, I'm not. I'm not happy. I am so happy that I missed this, because the first Avatar is bad on so many levels.
It's James Cameron's masterpiece.
James Cameron running. It is him getting a check and be like, how can I make maybe one of the most problematic movies ever made?
It is him
just have it be a total success.
Going to Disney and saying you're gonna take the animal kingdom and you're gonna put blue people in it,
and they're gonna fuck by touching their hair.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to go off of here. There's a lot of conceptually things here. They show a lot of first person cuts, which is weird. Maybe this is a first person game.
First person open world game. Like it could be like
Far Cry Avatar, baby.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. It seems the vibe.
I could see that too, because like it's made by Massive, which is like the Division people. But I'm trying to remember. Really? I'm trying to remember who made what they've made before the Division. I don't know.
I think they came together for the first Division.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't remember.
And because I feel like they were a new studio, because they had a new engine for it as well. So yeah, I think if it's them, like I'm pulling from conceptually like that, but. This trailer is very much from the Navi's perspective, so I don't know if there will be human gameplay, if there will be guns or any of that. They're present, but I don't know if you'll be able to play as them. So
yeah,
I feel like there's not a lot to go off of here.
Yeah, it was just like it was definitely just very much a like look at this, look at the kind of engine, what this engine we're working in is capable of. And
I remember when James Cameron was at the Ubisoft press conference to announce, I guess, this game like 10 years ago, and I fell asleep because it was the most boring thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Yep. That was even a bygone era of E3.
That was like in that rough time of Ubisoft. That was like 1 year before Mr. Caffeine or whatever. So
yeah.
But we don't have to spend any more time on that because there's more cooler things up ahead. So Devolver,
like
showcase.
the fucking Ninja Turtles being in Brawlhalla.
Yes, which was not here. Yes, which was like a great all 4 Ninja Turtles with a possible hint that Shredder might also be in there. I loved it. Mikey has pizza fist gloves, which were very good.
That fits.
And I just want to say before we move on, I am proud to say I still have never seen Avatar.
I have seen the second half of it at a friend's house, and I thought it was boring.
I saw it in the movie theaters when it came out, and I have not watched it since.
I saw it on a naval base for free, and I didn't like it when it came out. And now that I'm a full ass grown adult who has more articulated thoughts, I genuinely think it is bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of like where I'm at with it.
All this stuff, it's like, why is Avatar suddenly coming? Like, okay, Cameron has 8 more movies or something coming out. It's like, why the sudden resurgence of Avatar? It's like,
I guess there's just so much money in it. It's just money, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
He's gonna. Don't worry, guys. He's gonna start pushing 3D TVs again.
Because it was the thing. Yeah, the thing with that movie was like at the time it was like the highest grossing movie of all time. So, like in some. Factor.
It is again.
So it was just so you're probably right. It is just like a money thing, and they just went like, let's make it a franchise, and then they've spent all these years.
And it's been 10 years.
Yeah, making it a franchise, and then they're gonna try and make this. They're gonna try and do it, I guess. And
it has a whole section of a park at Disney World, so it's certainly got pushed behind it.
At Disney World in
Florida? Animal Kingdom is basically also Avatar Land. Yeah, there's a ride and everything. Yeah, Animal Kingdom used to close at 6 p.m. because the animals had to go to bed, but now it's open until 9 p.m. One, so they can make more money, but two, because all the blue lights glow from fucking Pandora in Avatar. I'm not kidding, Quinn. This is real. Anyway,
the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. I'm sorry.
So you're saying the late night. The hair comes out for the late night folks, so they can.
The weird hair plants come out, so you can stick your hand in them and fuck them. Anyway, Devolver happened next.
All right, we're gonna end the stream. I'm gonna head down to Florida. I'll see you guys later.
I'll see you guys later.
Mike's gonna. Yeah.
The parks are open again. I've gotta go.
I got vaccinated. I got things to do.
The Devolver, the presentation wise of it was as absurd and silly.
Always good. This year's premise is very good.
It was good. I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Basically, they had they kind of it didn't really go off of it didn't have a continuation necessarily like the last ones did, but this one was like them trying to figure out how to sell Devolver stuff, and so they made the Devolver Max Pass Plus, which is basically they said monetization as a service was the sequence that said a lot of them. Basically, they were making fun of subscription services and games as a service and all kinds of stuff, and making up making up more and more ridiculous things of this is what you get as a Devolver Max Pass Plus Golden Triple Tier Double Maximum Subscriber, and just they were just cut to Devolver games. It was good. It was silly and goofy.
At the end, they said that they had produced the whole thing on a VHS tape that was unfuckwithable, and then they sold that VHS tape on their website for $1,000. And then someone bought it.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, dude.
Like an actual real VHS
I mean, we don't know how it's gonna play out from here, so they committed to the bit though, which I appreciate.
Yeah, they always do with these things. I mean, it was very good, but they also showed a lot of cool games.
Knowing Devolver, I'm surprised they didn't do like a Betamax thing instead.
I honestly, it could have gone that way very easily. They showed a bunch of games in the middle, kind of basically back to back.
Yeah.
A lot of them good. We saw the one I think that got mentioned before was Death's Door, which I also mentioned earlier. That was at the Day of the Devs. It looks great, like a top-down Zelda roguelike.
Yeah, cool art style. You're like a little like crow man, right?
Yes, you're like a little bird with a sword, which is cool. They started with Trek to Yomi, very cool 2D samurai, black and whites. Very much got like the Ghost of Tsushima vibes, but
and Seven Samurai, like those, like the movie. I think it's the movie. It's like
looks less problematic. The vibe. I'll reuse.
It looks more
words.
Historically accurate.
Less like less fetishizing the Japanese media and Japanese history. Yeah.
But it also still rides the Kurosawa influence. Like you can clearly tell. It looked really cool.
Very cool look, and very in the style of those like more cinematic kind of 2D side scrolling kind of experience.
Yeah, it honestly kind of gave me like Limbo vibes, like with how the camera kind of gently progresses with the character and stuff.
Yeah, and kind of like shows they're kind of like the character themselves, like even though it's like all 2D, like they're moving through more like 3D like environments, like back and forth through the kind of foreground and stuff. It was a cool cinematic thing for sure.
Yeah,
that I was pretty into. One I really dug was Phantom Abyss. I'm stoked to try this game out. I don't know if you guys have been following it all. It was shown like a little while ago, like through like Twitter and stuff. But basically, it's like it'll be in early access at the end on June 22nd on Steam. It's basically it's an asymmetric it's like asynchronous actually is what the words for multiplayer game where basically you're running through a procedurally generated, like basically like Indiana Jones style, like ancient temple with like a bunch of traps, and you're like kind of dodging them, and you have a whip that you kind of use as like a grapple hook to like get around environments or like open up doorways and puzzles. And the whole thing is you're trying to get to the end of it to get a like a golden statue, and then when you pick it up, like a big like tiki god looking like big red monster thing starts chasing you like almost like Mario 2 style, like back through the level, and you have to like run out and escape. But the thing is, if you die in there, that's your one try, and then you'll never go back to that temple again. And then you'll be a ghost in another person's run. So like when you're like doing a run yourself, you'll see like other players like running through the stage before you as ghosts, like trying to go through the level themselves. So you can see other players kind of trying out the one you're on. But if you yourself die in that one, you will never see that same temple again. And then it'll be the next time you jump in, it'll be a completely different procedurally generated style like temple to run through again and try and complete.
I like the idea of them taking the seeds of other people and throwing them at other players with more kind of stacked information.
Yes, it is that thing. I think the intention of those like Dark Souls kind of ghosts, where you like see them in environments and you can see what people do.
Gives you like a warning of what not to do. Yeah, it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked cool. Like I just like that. The whole premise of it is really neat. And I definitely want to give it a shot. But yeah, it'll be early access later this month.
I know Wizard with a Gun spoke to you, Scott, as well.
Yeah,
spoke to my heart.
The art looked really cool, and I just felt like this is like Wild West Black Mages.
Yeah, kind of.
Yep.
And it kind of reminded me of the Clay game. It might be Clay. The kind of top-down survival game by them. They don't starve. Yes, Don't Starve. It kind of has that similar.
That reminded me a lot of it too.
It seems like you're going to be building a base to some extent and crafting and managing resources, but it's also a twin stick shooter, and you have different guns and magic, and guns that do magic. It's cool.
Wizard with a gun.
With a gun. Wizards with guns.
Yeah, I started watching this trailer and I was like, oh, I'm here for this vibe. Then the game started and I was like, I'm out. I was here for like the folky, like
the trailer
like,
is very
expecting,
good.
Like some weird Devolver, like it is a good trailer, but then like the actual game was here and I'm like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be at all.
Sure. And I think I had the same
it's
feeling.
It's gonna be rad. I think this game's gonna be really, like a lot of people are gonna love this game. But it was like that was just not what it was like. Literally like, oh, we're going down this one road, like sharp left turn, and I'm like, all right, cool, that's what we're doing. Cool.
Yeah, big focus on co-op too. It seems like the 2-player stuff, and this could be really good. And then I will give a shout out to Inscription, which is like a card game, but it's also got like tons of other stuff going on.
Yeah, that was
super creepy.
Yeah, that was fucked up. I was not into that. I was unsettled by that trailer for that game.
It's super unsettling, but I was just like very impressed with how unsettling it was.
Yeah.
They made a bit about
the big creepy hands that come down the hallway.
Oh yeah, that came down. Ooh, no.
Yeah. So turn this off.
Like
turn this off.
Yep. They made fun of mobile games with Tumble Time.
That's an actual game. That'll be an actual game.
Which is coming out as well. Yeah. I think it does both.
Yeah,
it lives and it makes fun of.
Yes.
Sure. And then they dropped Demon Throttle, which I guess is like a cooperative game.
It's yes, but also the main thing was that it is a literal physical only game.
Yeah, physical only.
You can only buy a physical version of that game through some seller. It is not a digital game. You can't buy it on a digital store for some reason. It's only on Nintendo Switch as well.
Which is funny, I guess. Again, weird bits to commit to. Like, go for it, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much most of day one. Yeah, we pretty much got through the majority of the stuff. But yeah, I don't know if anybody has anything else they wanted to shout out.
Scott, I want to hit you. You had some Summer Game Fest feelings. You want to throw out Elden Ring? How'd you feel?
Looked fantastic. It's strange though, like coming off of the graphical powerhouse in like beauty that is the Demon's Souls remake. This game definitely does not look as good as that.
Yeah.
As that game. But no, gameplay looks really cool. I'm anxious to hear more of it. And yeah, Tales of Arise. I'm always here for more Tales.
It's a good trailer.
I like characters.
Yeah, the cast just seems super likable. I like the Paladin lady with like the big mace and shield. I feel like we haven't really gotten that as a Tales character before. And I think that's cool.
And then like the Indian prince kind of spear wielder, he looks cool. Dalim, I think it is, or something.
And Tales has not had a lot of people of color in their cast before, so it is cool to see that anytime that happens.
Oh yeah. But I'm super stoked.
I'm trying to think of anything else that might have been. What do you think of Metal Slug Tactics?
It looked cool. I dig the art style and everything. I've only played Metal Slug like in the collections and stuff, and I think they're fun. I've never like beaten one. But yeah, I think it looks groovy. So.
Yeah, it looks super cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's gonna do it for us then. We're gonna be back. Mike, go ahead. Sorry.
No.
Oh, I thought you were saying one more.
No, I was saying day one in the books.
Yeah, day one done. Good man. Just a plethora of indie games, and a lot of them are coming out in like the next 2 months.
Yeah.
And plus, we're gonna be able to check out some next week. We're already talking about viewpoints that we're gonna be doing for stuff. So if you're curious about any of them, want to hear our thoughts, they'll probably be coming out toward the end of next week and the early week after.
And I've got some code. I've already got some codes for a couple things. So yeah, we'll definitely be checking out some stuff for viewpoints and also, I just one recommendation for, I know some people, I know like Alex and Quinn, you aren't necessarily PC gamers, but I would say like if you want like a good like even though Steam isn't always the best at curation with some gaming stuff, they actually did do a pretty good job. They do a pretty good job sometimes around these big events. Like there is like you can go on Steam, find any of the games we talked about specifically, like that were in like the Guerrilla Collective or the Wholesome Games like direct, like some of these showcases. And if you go to their pages, all of them at the top have like a big like banner for one of these events, and you can click on that, and then it shows you like the entire breakdown of like, here's all the games that were shown. You can wish list them. You can see which ones are like on sale, or you can see which ones were like newly released, or and then there's like also like a little stream at the top, which are usually like developers themselves streaming on Steam, on like that Steam page, like the game, like playing the game a little bit. So like there is, so like if if you have interest in the games, I always recommend, especially when it's like stuff like the Guerrilla Collective, where they just like bombard you with these smaller games. Like just go to Steam and go to that page, and they have like a full list of stuff, because that helped me a lot, because I usually just go on there and wish list stuff, because otherwise I'll completely forget about it.
Yeah, that's a good call out.
So I recommend that to like
I think Xbox is doing demos too.
Yeah,
they're
Xbox
doing them
doing
Tuesday.
Demos. I think their demos will be up all this week, and then I think it might be the following week, or maybe early July. Steam is gonna do their like, I think it's called like Steam Next Fest, and it's like the same concept of just like there will be a billion game demos for a bunch of Steam games on there for people to check out.
That's a good call out. I'll boot up Steam and take a look at stuff tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. My cat just walked in for Xbox and Bethesda, and then Square right after. Nice little 45-minute window for us to talk about Xbox before Square gets going. So I think that's what, noon Eastern time, right?
Somewhere around there. I can look real quick.
Either noon or 11. Yeah, it's in that time frame.
Do we want to just wait until after Square and just do them all at once? Give us a 45-minute like food or chill break before...
I think we're gonna watch along with Xbox, but we'll probably take a break and then talk about stuff with after
I will not be there to lose my mind if Arcane is there.
I will text you Arcane related updates, Quinn, to make sure.
Thank you.
So since we're all here, do we want to do, because I was gonna do like a similar style post show. I was thinking of doing a similar style post show on Monday night, to this, where we just kind of collect everything from all the events. Do you want to hold Square for that, or would you guys want to do like a Square thing then?
I feel like Square will be big enough to do it like right after, and then the couple things after Square we can roll into the next thing.
Sure. Sounds good.
Just knowing us and knowing myself.
Yeah, I know.
And Scott.
I know if they have like some bigger things.
If they show 16, that'll be stuff to talk about. If they, which they probably will. If.
Well, we know Babylon's Fall will be there, and
I do want to see. And War for Wakanda, baby.
Yeah, and then the Adventures expansion. So there will be stuff to talk about for sure.
Yeah, I'm down then. Sure.
And Eidos won't be there.
I mean, I think they will be there, but
they might actually be there, but they'll be talking about XCOM Tactics or Marvel Tactics or whatever.
Yeah, I think you'll probably not be into the game they're going to announce tomorrow.
Nope.
But that will be tomorrow.
Like, oh, we need to make some money, actually.
And we'll probably be starting just a few minutes before Microsoft gets going. So, we will. Yeah. If you're hanging out, thanks to the folks that jumped in chat. Thanks for Jarrett for trolling us in chat. Bryce and whatnot for hanging out. And we will be back tomorrow. So goodbye, everybody.
Cool. Have a good night.